Today is December 15th, 2014, and this is a video clip that's a continuation of some things I was saying about the Ballingers and their participation in government rapes that were plotted against me. And given some of the background information on that and how some of them are potentially connected, well, how some of them were connected to others that were involved. I haven't really explained, I've mentioned different families they knew, the Ballingers knew, but I haven't really explained how, what some of the things that those families, what they did to me, sort of generalized it. And I'm going to explain, just try to go through a couple of the different families and highlight a few things that were happening to me when I was very little, which is, as I say, prior to their sons growing up and then getting involved in, quote-unquote, I guess, commissioned to assault me themselves. And these individuals, I really have no idea what kind of torture or harm or participation some of the Bobs and Dixies had, because I can't imagine they just were always willingly going along with things. I mean, sometimes I saw slightly suicidal tendencies even in one of the Bobs or Dixies because of how horrible some of the things were that were happening. I mean, anyone in their right mind would feel that way, I think. And as twins and triplets who had no way to, really protect themselves or break out of something, it would be kind of like, for example, what if the CIA, let's say, in the military, told Edward Howard, say he defects to Russia, and let's say they tell him, okay, we talked to the FBI, and why don't you come back over here and we'll just ask you a few questions. We'd like to settle this, and you might have to go to jail for a short amount of time, but come back over here, we'll take care of things, and we'll quit harming some of the people that you care about. Let's just assume that maybe they're harming his son because he has a son, or maybe a wife, or maybe he just feels really lonely for whatever reason. So they make what sounds like a bargain. Okay, so let's say that that Edward Howard agrees to do this, and that maybe even Russia negotiates with the United States secretly. Okay, we'll let him go to you. You're paying us how much money? I mean, who knows? Let's just be imaginative here. Okay, so he gets over to the United States, and it's supposed to be all secret until things, get processed or whatever. Well, let's say that the military and Pentagon and the FBI decide they're going to put him in a Guantanamo kind of condition and setting. If you don't tell anyone about it, people are led to believe that he's dead. Let's say, maybe some Russian official got bribed even. Hey, let's just go really out on a limb on this and say some United States government people said, if you'll convince him to fake his death so that he can be protected more over there, and then turn him over to us, then we'll take him off your hands and we'll give you a large sum of money. And I'm definitely not saying that I think Russian officials would do that, but I do know that really weird things happen, and because I've seen some of these kinds of things happen. So and what do I mean by that? What basis do I have to say that I've seen some of those really weird things happen? Well, one is that, for example, I was at one point trafficked and sent over to North Korea. And I somehow, there was trafficked or I got in. And I asked for political asylum when I was younger. And they had a whole press conference hearing. These North Koreans did. Just like this guy who later showed up from El Paso, Texas, named Arturo. And what happened is it was the exact same kind of setting, the same room that he made his announcement from, and everything, and yet no one in the United States media was broadcasting that to anyone, were they? I mean, nobody ever saw any of that footage. So then, if I went to North Korean officials and I asked them for political asylum as a little girl, and they did this big press conference thing where I was giving a statement, and if it didn't reach the United States and the media didn't play it, then where did it go exactly? I guess possibly it went to the U.S. Department of State and some U.S. officials. But while I was under the impression it was reaching this large audience, it was going nowhere. It was basically getting sent to U.S. people who negotiated with someone in North Korea to have me sent back over to the United States, where I continued to get raped and tortured. And I was also called crazy, of course, because that's what the United States and most countries do. In fact, if someone is discrediting their country and talking about things that have happened to them, and maybe to others too. Okay, so in that situation, where I literally asked for political asylum and gave a press conference I believed at the time was reaching the entire United States American audience. Well, it looks to me like I got set up, didn't I? Because it didn't reach the entire United States audience. It reached the inner elite circle of United States government officials. So possibly they bribed or paid off North Korea. Or some of their officials, I should say, not the entire country. So, that's what I'm talking about when I say I've seen all kinds of things, and I know anything is possible. So let's just say, maybe someone told Russia, and I'm not saying that this happened at all, but let's say the CIA and FBI got wind that Edward Howard was ready to come back over and try to settle some things and do whatever he felt he had to do do that. And let's say that a couple people from the U.S. government got a hold of a couple of Russian officials and said, "Hey, here's what we want you to do. We're going to make things look really bad over here in the U.S. for Edward Howard and people that he's connected to. And in the meantime, why don't you propose to him that you'll help him fake his death and put him into hiding, so that maybe there's less, and suggest that there will be less pressure on on other individuals in the U.S. that maybe the FBI is targeting. And so, while you suggest that he goes further on the ground, we're going to send a couple of FBI agents over there. We're going to pick him up, take him off your hands, bring him over to the U.S. or to one of our facilities, and we will make it worth your time and your effort." Okay, so Edward Howard thinks he's getting even better witness protection, a whole cover about dying, and next thing he knows, just imagine, the next thing he knows, he is getting picked up by some terrorist military in the U.S. And they're hauling him into a plane, bringing him over to the United States. And there's no court and no hearing or anything because everybody thinks he's dead. So the United States just keeps him in some kind of a weird jail, a totally black site underground jail, where they torture him, do all kinds of horrible things, show him terrible things, and just say, you know, you're never going to get out. Sorry. Okay. So, in that situation, it would require some accomplices faking his death so that the public and other people couldn't be notified that he was actually being held hostage somewhere else. And I compare that, or I bring that up, because what happened with me in this press conference, as I say, never happened. I mean, it never got exposed to the general public like I was told it was being. And here I am thinking like North Korea is this communist, hardcore country that's really going to stand up for me. You know, I mean, just whatever is different from the U.S. or the U.S. politics, I thought, might work to my advantage. Well, it didn't. And what I'm saying about this complication that there is with having twins or triplets that work for the United States government is that you can take one set of twins, if you don't feel they're being very cooperative, put them into hiding or into a jail for an indefinite amount of time, and use the other set of identicals, or you know, whether they're twins or triplets, have them out in the public eye. Meanwhile, be punishing the other set so that they can't even access anyone that could help them, because for whatever reason the U.S. knows this one set will work with us and the other set won't, or is more of a liability. So it just becomes like slightly more dangerous when, or probably a little nerve-wracking, if you are constantly being made aware that this is all a secret, we have tons of blackmail on you, you can't ever talk about how you are part of an identical set, and you also know that at any time we can take you under and do whatever we want. So, so when I say that my parents were involved with some of these individuals who were coordinating rapes of me and torture of me and stealing from me, I'm saying, you know, I'm not completely sure all the time, you know, who is getting tortured and forced to have to lie all the time and be part of some of these things that happen. So that's to preface this next part, because now I'm going to talk about some of the things that the adults did who were part of the families that were friends and associates with the Ballingers. And I'm just using the Ballingers as an example, because from this one family, Ballingers, you have like a whole bunch of there are a number of things that tie together, and it just helps to show that this is a very large government conspiracy, and it is very bad.